I told you.
Hello.
You are a normal boy. And you're going to start acting like one.
Bullying. I think that's a really good thing to draw from
You
the
think you're
series.
something special?
Aunt Petunia's attitude, demeanor, and just her general outlook of Harry Potter is also something the series, the movies didn't do a good enough job of because they were pretty terrible towards Harry. Like really, really, like yeah, they locked them in the basement. Not even a basement, in under the stairs. Like yeah, it was bad. So good idea there.
There is nothing special
About you, and that is
about you.
you can see Aunt Petunia's. You can just see her.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
James Potter.
Your parents were the kindest.
James Potter was okay. I think the series will go over that more. There was a point where Harry, when he found out more about his dad, he was just like, really, really, that's my dad. It's not nice. He's not a nice man. Because James Potter bullied Snape pretty severely, right? Yeah. So that's good.
The people I ever met. They were funny and clever.
Nick Frost as Hagrid. I feel like the old Hagrid, I don't remember his name. I think he passed away. I feel like the old Hagrid is technically better. I just, when I hear Nick Frost's voice, I'm just like, I can envision you in too many other things where this kind of sounds a bit off. But not a bad
They
cast.
stood up for what they believed was right.
The scar. Okay. The thing about the scar is, remember, Harry's scar was so distinct that people always looked at it whenever he was in public. If he went out in public, people would just always know because it was such a distinct scar. And people would always ask him about it because obviously it was such a distinct scar. But the thing with the scar is it's also a magical scar. So every time he thought about the scar, every time he just had some notion about his parents and anything that may or may not have happened, the scar would burn. So it was always it was like he was having like this intense migraine whenever people talked about the scar because the scar had some connections that growing up he didn't know about. That is also partly why Aunt Petunia, the Petunias, kind of locked him away. The Petunias, and their name is not Petunias, whatever their last names were, the Dudleys, locked him away because, again, he had that thing in his head, that scar that was just so distinct that everybody just saw it. And also, they were also kind of worried that if he went out in public, he would start doing magical things because the Dudleys knew about the wizarding world because obviously Lily is related to Aunt Petunia. They're literally sisters. And Lily James was just the what is the term for when someone like Hermione? No, Hermione is half blood. I don't remember. No, James. No, Lily Potter was a half blood. So she was. She did marry her mom or dad married a wizard. So I think that's how she got her powers. But Aunt Petunia did not get any abilities, right? If I remember, I definitely know she didn't get any abilities. So she was always kind of resentful towards Lily for that. And that's kind of how people like Lily get called names because, they emerge in the family as having this power that nobody else has, freaks people out, and also it kind of makes them special. So when Aunt Petunia says there's nothing special about you, that's the whole point. I know because his mother was our sister, so she's just trying to really drill it in. You're not special. Stop it. You're not special.
The next time I see you will be in Hogwarts.
We will talk about Snape. Don't worry. We will talk about Snape because that's the big thing, right? So the mood is instantly darker than the movies because obviously when the movies were first made, they kind of seemed a little bit here. Let me show you the difference there, and you'll kind of understand that. Yeah, the movies didn't start off as they ought to have started, right? Harry Potter. Trailer. Because I think I can see the old classic trailers, so you can okay. See the tone different.
Did you ever make anything happen?
Here's the thing to note. That sound is distinctly Harry Potter now. But when the books obviously don't have sound. So everything you're hearing about Harry Potter is just what the movies did. So again, that's why people are asking, why do we need a remake? Well, it's because the movies didn't actually do justice to the books at all, because at that time, Harry Potter was popular enough that we needed to make a movie, put them in visual form, but also the full resource for Harry Potter wasn't actually really there till you got to Harry Potter movie-wise, the third one, The Prison of Azkaban. That's when they started kind of putting resources into the movies. And by the time you got to the seventh movie, they decided to split it into two because obviously Harry Potter was such a big deal then. So the last two movies were generally the best of the series. And the first two movies were not that good. They really were not that good. So at the very least, we definitely remix for those.
Anything you couldn't explain? You're a wizard, Harry.
You're a wizard, Harry. Okay, this is what I'm saying about Robert Frost. See the way he said you're a wizard. It just sounds more. And I don't. Okay, so I don't want to hate. I don't want to be like I'm hating because Nick Frost is a great actor, but this just feels.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
I'm a what? Okay, that tone from Robert, from that I don't remember his name. I just feel like it's a little better, but the actual tonal shift of the series to a darker tone, beginning with book one, I think is a much better option. And showing Harry Potter getting bullied, a really good option because the movies didn't really go into that a whole lot. They just kind of put him into Hogwarts and he was happy to be in Hogwarts. They didn't really go over a lot of the abuse that he endured because, again, remember, he went to Hogwarts at the age of 11, I think, right? Until then, till that time, he was living with the Dudleys. So, I like her look.
I think we can expect great things from you.
Harry's haircut. So the reason why Harry always had a weird haircut, and they're already doing a good job showing you that, is because he always had to cover up the scar. So Harry never had a clean haircut because literally the scar was in one part of his face, and he always had to cover it up because, again, remember, the scar was so distinct that people always just saw it, and and then he would get headaches and blah blah blah. So that's why you'll see his hair just look like he got a bad barber job, and he did because it had to be particularly distinct.
Let's see who you
are. Quidditch. The movies did not do Quidditch justice at all for the first few movies. Quidditch was not done well enough to warrant Quidditch in the books. So again, that's a good one to focus on with the TV series. There it is. Okay. All right, let's start the talk. Dude, so let me just start by saying this. I will say it boldly so you can hear it in the back. Casting Snape as a black man is the smartest decision this series did. So why is that? Okay, let's first of all talk about Snape. So in the book, yes, Snape was described as a pale man, not a white man, but pale, with a hooked nose, or a particular nose. In fact, the book describes Snape as being kind of good looking, just in a weird good looking kind of weird way. Remember, he spent time in Azkaban, and by the time he got out of there, he got very skinny because what happens in Azkaban? Well, you sit down and Dementors just suck your souls. Does that sound like church? You know, a bad church. You go to a bad church, you sit down, and it just kind of feels like something is just sucking your soul. Okay, Dementors are everywhere, right? So when Snape got out of there, he did look skinny, pale, and his nose was distinct. However, I think what people are missing about that is that the description of Snape was supposed to give you an idea of what kind of person he was, not that his skin color was his identity. Okay. Snape was also described as being quite insecure, and that's kind of the reason why he was so easily manipulatable by both Dumbledore and Voldemort, right? If you read through the books, Snape was generally being manipulated by both of them. However, Snape always kind of knew what he was doing. He knew what was happening on both ends. It's just he's a yes man. That's Snape. Snape is a yes man. Okay. And at the end, he paid the ultimate price because at some point, being a yes man is just going to drive you to the point where the person you're saying yes to is just going to get as big old snake and bite you multiple times till you die. Okay. If you're watching Daredevil, there's a character, the young character who's always with Fisk. Okay. He's your Snape of Daredevil. So if I'm understanding how that's going to be done correctly, he's going to end up being the fall guy, and he's probably going to end up dying, and Fisk is going to kill him. It's kind of the same idea with Snape. Snape is a yes man. He's a yes man for Daredevil. And in stories, yes mans generally meet a pretty bad ending. Okay. So why is he a good character to cast for Snape? By the way, we're talking HBO. So if they're casting him to replace Snape, they must understand something about the books or the lore that the general public doesn't really well understand. That is, casting Snape as a black man really works very, very well for what Snape is in the lore of the story. Namely, that Snape was in love with Lily Potter, but the reason he couldn't marry Lily Potter is because Lily Porter's family, Lily Porter, try saying that 5 times. My goodness. It's not even Lily Porter. What was her maiden name? Her maiden name wasn't Porter, and it definitely wasn't Dudley, because Miss Petunia married the Dudleys. So it wasn't. I don't remember her maiden name, but her family would not approve of Snape on multiple fronts. One, again, Snape just looked weird. It looked weird. Again, we're talking about wizards, right? Here's why this matters. So the person people are saying should play Snape, if you haven't seen this, is Adam Driver, right? Yeah, Adam Driver should play Snape. Well, why should Adam Driver play Snape, people say? Well, because Adam Driver kind of looks like the first Snape, right? Okay. But you got to keep in mind, the first Snape doesn't look like Snape in the book. This is not what Snape looked like in the book. And here's a really funny part, too. Because people are saying Adam Driver should play Snape because, he kind of looks like this guy. But Adam Driver's American. And Snape is a British wizard. Yes, there were American wizards. So in Harry Potter, you actually shouldn't cast an American to play a British role because there are plenty of American roles, American wizards that were there that could be played. Even in the Ministry of Magic, there were American wizards there that could be played by American actors. So casting Adam Driver to play a role of a British Snape, I just don't. Again, why would you have a problem with Snape being cast as a black man, but yet not have a problem with Snape being cast as an American? Yeah, if you have an issue with that because you have other agendas. So why does he work as Snape? Because again, when you dive deep into Snape's lore, it just makes more sense to cast somebody in the real world that would already have those same type of issues growing up, right? Because that kind of is the point of Snape, right? He loved Lily James, really from the point where oh, her name was Lily James. Yes, her maiden name was James. She was Lily James, and then she married what's his name? No, James Porter. Is Harry's dad first name James? I think his first name is James Porter. So I still don't know Lily's last maiden name. That's yeah, okay. If you know, please let me know. I forgot, but if I can look it up, but oh yeah, let me just look it up. Maiden name. Oh, Lily Evans. Lily Evans. Okay, so Lily Evans married James and became Lily Porter. Okay, but the undertone, and it wasn't even undertone. No, it was pretty clear that Severus Snape just would not have been accepted by her family. He was weird. The kids made fun of him because, again, remember, Severus Snape has incredible magical ability. Dude, I'm telling you guys right now, I think this dude is gonna crush it, first of all. But if you understand the law, Severus Snape had an immense magical ability to the point where that's kind of what made him weird, because all those manifestations and all those weird things that happens around kids who had wizarding powers happen all the time to Severus Snape because he had that much wizarding potential, right? Okay. There's a whole book that's obviously titled after him called the Half-Blood Prince. And it wasn't that Snape didn't understand that he had a lot of power. He did. In fact, by the time that Snape grew up, he kind of understood that he was one of the top wizards in the entire world, not only in the entire world currently, but really ever. And the sixth book, Half-Blood Prince, was really meant to show you that, yeah, Snape you don't want to mess with Snape on a good day, right? To the point where the book tells you that Snape was making up his own really, really horrific spells. But the thing was, Snape never really used any of those spells. Because remember, Snape also came from a really, really powerful family, the Black family. Yes, Snape is related to, what's his name? Sirius Black. They all come from the same tree. And Snape, in fact, unlike Sirius Black, Snape pretty much instantly kind of rejected the dark wizard pool. Like he was a Slytherin, but he wasn't really a Slytherin. You know what I mean? He wasn't a Malfoy. He wasn't loyal in that sense, but he also lived in a world where he wasn't going to make a bunch of noise for being who he is. And again, the thing with Snape was always that he was always generally just so insecure that, you know, he was easy to manipulate. But make no mistake about it, Snape is one of the strongest wizards in the world. And that's why both Dumbledore and Voldemort never really wanted to cross Snape. They just kind of wanted to be his friend and use him. Because in an actual fight between Voldemort and Snape, no Horcrux involved. I think Snape will have held his own quite well, in fact. So that's the thing with Snape. And that's why I actually think casting him as a Black person really just kind of works, because it helps you explain a lot of the more backstories just by the visuals, right? Because Snape is supposed to stand out. And the problem is, within the world of Harry Potter, the movies, that Snape didn't stand out. He didn't stand out. He was just a British actor who was amongst other British actors. At least standing next to Maggie Smith, I don't think, let me get his name right. I think it's Alan, I think it's Alan Ritson. Is it Alan Ritson? No, not Alan Ritson. Alan Ritson is the one who just got in a fight. Alan Rickman. I think it's Rickman. Yes, Alan Rickman. He passed away. He passed away in 2016. Look, in the world of Hollywood, this is not what Snape would look like. It just isn't. This is just Hollywood Snape. So casting a Snape that is just going to look out of place, because again, maybe this is something they're gonna fix in the movies. the books didn't have a ton of black people running around. Now, what's the reason for that? People might think it's because, J.K. Rowling wanted to make that a point. And I don't know the answer to that, but it's more likely that when these books were made, if she would have made Snape black, I just don't think the book will have sold as much. I really don't. When you're thinking about authors and artists and people who create stuff, the images you show do matter for how much sales you are projected to earn. Good note for that. For those who don't know, the first book is called what? You're wrong and you're right. The first book has 2 titles. The American title is The Sorcerer's Stone. The British title is The Philosopher's Stone. The reason why the American changed to Sorcerer's Stone is because the label, what do you call them? The printers, the book people, publishers. They told J.K. Rowling, if you change it to Sorcerer's Stone, it's going to sell more in the U.S. Again, imagine if she would have wrote this book with Snape being a black man. I just don't think it would have sold well. You know what I mean? I don't think it would have sold well. But now that the book is pretty much a mainstay in culture, and now that everybody knows Harry Potter can stand on its own, even if this actor flops his role, and I don't think he will, because this is one of the best young actors in England right now. So again, we're talking powerhouse here, not some Dudley that you just picked up from the side of the road. We're talking about a real, legit, award-winning actor. So we're in for some really good stuff here. But again, just look at the distinctness. When you look at this trailer, right? And you're seeing all of this, and you get to Snape.
You.
Let me go back to Snape so you can see it.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
Man, they really put him at the end. They really wanted. Okay, and you get to Snape. You can already see the distinctness, right? This is just distinct. Okay, one more thing. Hermione's character. Is this Hermione's description in the books, or is Emma Watson's description of Hermione? Because the biggest description of Hermione in the books were her teeth, the front tooth, right there, you see it, and her hair. Right? But you can take some umbrage. Yes, I know. You're welcome. With her skin color. And there's a whole lot of you Professor Umbridges out there who just love to take umbrage. By the way, Professor Umbridge, that name was my favorite name in that book because it was so perfect for who she was as a character. Okay, so as I said, you could take umbrage with Hermione's skin color, but that would be really foolish to do because if you want to go description, what the books try to do is to try to make each character have a distinct feature. Harry had the scar, Hermione has her hair and her teeth, and Severus Snape had the nose, but the point wasn't the nose. The point was that he just stood out. In a crowd of wizards, even in a crowd of wizards, you can pick out Severus Snape. So imagine what it'd be like if Severus Snape goes into the real world. For those who are saying, well, he was just pale. Well, the idea is, in the wizarding world, even at Hogwarts, in a crowd of 1,000 wizards, you can pick out Severus Snape. He was that distinct. Whether he was just like, wow, that's a really good looking, very skinny dude who keeps to himself. He has that brooding nature. You know, he's so secretive. You know, he could be a poet or he could be a psychopath. Maybe he could be both, but that's Snape. So again, that's just not a pleasant look. So again, description of these characters, I'm not so sure ought to be taken literally. And in fact, I think when you are adapting books to movies, descriptions of characters are probably the least thing that you should take literally, unless it is something like a scar that also has magical powers. Is it necessary for Hermione's teeth to be big in a movie? No, not really. Although it is, it's just to find, a person with distinct, front tooth, but that's not necessary. However, the scar of Harry's head is necessary because the scar is a magical scar that is a part of Harry Potter's abilities and the book. So those are the distinctions there. This is Mr. Dudley. Again, what do you notice here based on the book? He's still skinny, right? He's supposed to be more rotund, bigger. The glasses is there, but again, if we're going literal here, yeah, he should be bigger.
I told you.
Oh, man. Okay. How are they doing this one? All right, so they are showing just how badly treated Harry is because, yeah, they locked him in here. Yeah, there's a hanger right there. There's not even a bed in here. Oh, that's right. Did Harry have a bed in the books? I can look all this up right now, but it's more fun to try to remember. And I think, yeah. When Harry came back from Hogwarts, they did move him upstairs. Because the thing that the Dudleys feared actually happened, which is that one day the Wizards people will show up and be like, by the way, if you don't start treating him like he really is, the chosen one, the one who got rid of the Dark Lord, you're putting Jesus Christ of the wizarding world in a cupboard? Harry in a cupboard? That's what we're going with? Yeah. So when Hagrid showed up the second year, yeah, he pretty much laid the law down. Like, if you don't start treating my boy like a fucking king that he is, I'm going to give you a pigtail. And he did. Dude, Harry Potter is such a fun book, man. It is such a fun series. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, okay. So he had a bed. And yeah, this is perfect. This is the... You guys are like, we can't see anything. I'm sorry, that's not on me. This is how the book describes it. It was a small, tiny little space underneath the stairs, and he had one little bit, and that's where they kept him for most of his life. He was a slave. Or was he just in hell? Remember, he is Jesus of the wizarding world. This is hell, or his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, right?
Oh boy.
And yes, J.K. Rowling got a lot of inspiration from C.S. Lewis, for those who know. Oh, as well as C.S. Lewis and J.K. Rowling, Lord of the Rings. J.K. Rowling's Lord of the Rings, C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia.
And you're going to start acting like one.
Okay, this should be Dudley, right? This should be Dudley Doo-Doo. Yeah, that's him. That's him. The actor who played the first Dudley, I don't know if he can be matched either, because that actor had a very distinct face. Here's the thing. Snape. Oh, okay. If you're talking who should play Snape, yeah. Who should play Snape? Give this dude Snape. He also should play Smeagol. You should definitely play Gollum. This dude should definitely play Gollum. But if you're talking description, this is the description of Dudley, right? Let's see. I actually don't think he's that far off. You think you're special. Where's your mom, Harry?
And you're going to start acting
Where's your
like
mom? Dude, Harry Potter is a riot. Where's your mom, Harry? Okay. This is a great description of Dudley. And this is a great description of Dudley. And then Dudley grew up and became a Snape. Can you not see the Snapeness in this? If you're talking just pure description, I can see the Snape in this way more than I can see in Adam Driver. Okay. Also, keep in mind, they are trying to follow. Whoa. Close, damn you. Close, damn you. They are trying to follow the books to a T, right? So we're talking 7 years of production on Harry Potter, right? In 7 years, these actors are going to look very different. So keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that as the series progressed, Severus Snape endured greater and greater stress to actually change his appearance. Just like a person who's under a lot of stress, they would just look different than when they are fully healthy. When the book starts and Snape was at Hogwarts, yes, he was already under stress because Dumbledore kind of already prepared him for what was coming. So Dumbledore already told him that, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Voldemort is going to come back and we have to be ready for that. So we already knew, so he was under that kind of stress. But as the series progressed, once Voldemort came back, yeah, he got more and more and more stressed. And that stress did show. So again, the character is going to change, progressively change in the next 7 years.
You think you're something special?
I like Aunt Petunia. I really do. She just looks like Aunt Petunia, including the name that just sounds weird. I think Petunia is a flower, right? Petunia should be a flower. Petunia. How do you spell that? Petunia. I think it's a flower. I don't know how to spell it, but yeah, Petunia. Okay, yeah, this is it, right? Yes, this is a Petunia. Is that how you pronounce it? I think it is. I think it's pronounced Petunia. Let's see. Petunia. Okay.
Petunia.
Yeah, a Petunia. Petunia. Okay, so that's her. Aunt Petunia. Doesn't her hair just looks like a bouquet of same colored flowers? Yes, Aunt Petunia is supposed to be your most generic aunt possible. She's boring. She would do the same thing over and over, and the only thing she cares about is Dudley. That's it. That's it. So her hair looks like a Petunia. See? She doesn't want to do anything with her hair. It's a Petunia. Just put it in a basket, give it to people. It's a Petunia. Yeah, it's boring.
Special.
Okay, see Harry's haircut right there. That haircut is meant to cover that scar because again, it's like, how else are you gonna cut that? You have to cover that scar up, even for the sake of Harry. So again, going back to, it's not just for the sake of meanness. It's because every time people talked about that scar, it would burn Harry's hair. It would give him a severe migraine because again, it's a magical scar that just has connections that he doesn't understand, right? So covering it up is kind of a way to just kind of avoid everybody seeing it, but it does mean that it would need to have this really ugly hairstyle.
About you.
Let's see, what does that actually say? Oh, yeah. So that's how the book did describe it, that because they were very precise as to his actual location. So the wizard had like pinpoint location in every single wizard in the world. So they knew where each wizard was. That's why the Ministry of Magic held all of that information. So they knew that he did live in a cupboard under the stairs. Yeah, Harry in a cupboard. A Potter in a cupboard. Indian in a cupboard. You get the point. You get the point. A private drive, yes. Little Winnington, something like that. I live in Surrey, but not Surrey, England.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
Wait, did he have the glasses earlier? Yeah, he did. Okay. Our boy is well bespeckled.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
Your parents were the kindest, bravest people I ever met. They were
I'm gonna get used to this voice as Hagrid. It'll be a voice for the new generation, so I'm okay with that. But right now, it's like, it's kind of tough to see
funny
Robert Frost.
and clever. They stood up for what they believed was right.
Again, see how Harry touched that scar? He does that a lot because that scar constantly burns. And it goes from just like a soft burning sensation to a full-blown migraine. And every time he was around Voldemort, it became a severe migraine, right?
Next time I see you,
But that's how Harry can also detect danger, because when he got to Hogwarts, he was fine. And then he got to Professor Quirrell, and it's like, my scar is burning. There's something happening here.
we'll be in Hogwarts.
Oh, that's Mrs. Weasley. Okay. Who's playing Mrs. Weasley? Yes, and a distinct feature of Weasley is red hair. So the Weasley actually needs to have red hair. Because his entire family had red hair. So if he didn't have red hair, so he does need to have red hair. So I do think the point is people get distinctions. No, his scar definitely burned all the time. So his scar definitely had sensations pretty consistently, like soft sensations to hard-blown, burning headaches. So if you're talking about, you're talking about burning, but the scar did always have some sensation on a pretty consistent basis, and he was able to judge just. So when he got closer to a place where Voldemort was, or Voldemort's imprints were, the scars would burn. But we're talking about tingling to burning to severe burning. As a person who gets migraines like I do, so there is a distinction between a sensation where I can feel a migraine sensation, but we're not talking about a full-blown migraine, to a full-blown migraine that is mild, to a full-blown migraine that's so severe that I have to throw up, right? So that's what we're talking about. So yes, the scar did constantly have sensation, and Harry was constantly touching it because, again, it's a magical scar, so there was always something there. But yes, you're right. The scar didn't always burn. The burning was more generally if he was around Voldemort. And then when it was actually around Voldemort, then it became a severe migraine type of pain. Okay, Professor McGonagall. Oh man, Magus Smith is going to be really hard to replace just because of Magus Smith, and just because Magus Smith died. I believe she died 3 years ago, and also because she was also in Downton Abbey, so she was a really, really well-known actress and one of the greatest actresses of all time. So she will be hard to replace. But just let me say this. This lady, this actress is formidable. So, again, we're not sleeping on this. But Magus Smith will be hard to replace, I do believe.
Mr. Potter, I think we can expect great things from you.
I don't. Oh, this is the. This is Mr. Ollivander, right? Is that his name, Ollivander? Right? If you're still here, I think you're still here. This is Mr. Ollivander, right? Because he's giving him the.
From you.
The wand. So the wand, obviously, we all know the wand. The wand picks the wizard, and the wizard picks the wand. It's kind of like a magical bond. So yeah. And what was his wand? It was made of phoenix feather, right? Was it made of phoenix feather? I think it was. I think it was made of phoenix feather. Malfoy. Okay, so this is good. So Malfoy is also a bit different. All right, so this is good because this attitude from Malfoy, this is perfect. So Malfoy was your privileged rich kid, right? So this seems like the perfect attitude to have. Holly and Phoenix One. Yeah, Holly and Phoenix One. Yeah. So the actor who played the first Malfoy, I think his name is Felton. He did good. He was a really good Malfoy. But again, you see the difference? This is not as distinct white hair as Malfoy in the movies. Tom Felton. Even though in the books, Malfoy's hair was distinct. The book did describe his hair as being pretty white, right? If I'm correct. Look, this is Malfoy, and this is not the book's description. So again, we're not getting super picky about skin color and hair color unless it is distinct to the character. And this is where, okay, fine, maybe we can take a little bit of umbrage again because what's his name? Harry's friend, Rupert Grint, right? He needs to have his color hair because that's distinct to his family. His family just had that color hair, red-haired. They were all redheads. Again, are there natural people who just have white hair? Not really. Most people you see who have white hair do dye it. So do you want to just make him dye his hair more white, or are we just not going to be picky about that? I think we're just not going to be picky about that. Yeah, exactly. They haven't gone with the book description for most of the other characters, for the most of the characters. So I think we're good on that, right? But here's the descriptions that do matter. His goon. Yes, this is Malfoy's goons. This is a great description of his goons because the thing with Malfoy's goons they were the people who could physically fight. They weren't great wizards. In fact, they were they were a couple dum-dums. There were some real dum-dums. But they were bullies. They were actual physical bullies. They were bigger than everybody else in the school, and they could always take on anybody. But Malfoy was. I'm sorry that if he sounds like I'm saying his name's weird, try saying Malfoy 5 times real fast. It just sounds like shit, all right? He was a fairly decent wizard when he applied himself. But he was too privileged to really apply himself, but he was a fairly decent wizard. These two goons, they were not. And this is what's her name? Is this no, it's not Brown, right? What's this girl's name? Chat. The girl that roamed with him. And she was actually described as being pretty, I think she was described as being pretty attractive, wasn't she? Pansy Pakistan. Yes, this is Pansy Pakistan. So this is also really good. And I do think she was described as, definitely wasn't described as being ugly, right? She was just a normal girl. The thing to know about his goons they were all rich, right? Even these two dum-dums, they were rich because they're right. They were rich, right? Not just him. I know she was definitely rich. Her parents were rich. Pugface. Is Pugface seen as attractive? Because I also feel like Umbridge also had a Pugface, but I don't think she was. I'm gonna say I don't think she was meant to be seen as somebody who was not attractive, right? I don't think so. It's just their distinction was they were just rich. This were just the rich kids, right? This was generally the richest kids in the school. Malfoy was probably the richest family at Hogwarts, right? Till we find out that the Potters didn't do too bad themselves, and Harry actually had a pretty good fortune in the bank. But yeah, I think they were the wealthiest at Hogwarts, and they did try to use that wealth and status to get ahead, which is the reason why Malfoy really could never be a great wizard, even if he had the capacity to, right? Pink Toad. Yeah, so Pug Face and Pink Toad. Toad Face. Pug Face and Toad Face. What is the difference between a Pug Face and a Toad Face? Because a Pug Face is the. Are we referring to the dog when you call somebody a Pug Face, or are you referring to a flat surface face? Because I think that's why Umbridge was described as Toad Face, because her face was kind of flat, right? Okay. I like this. I like all of this. This is fantastic. Good casting there. Oh, the Nimbus 2000. The Nimbus 2000. Okay, the Nimbus 2000. Yes, this is the part where they showed you that Harry did have resource because he was able to buy the Nimbus 2000, which was the most prized broomstick of the time. And yes, it was a point that the Weasleys who did not have money were not able to afford the Nimbus. So the Nimbus 2000 was one of the first ways that Harry became popular in the school, because he just showed up with a Nimbus 2000 and flying around with the scar. It's like, dude, you're awesome. Okay. Yeah, nose flattened. So that's a Pug Face. So, but a Toad Face is also flattened face, right? Yes, we're gonna go buy it for him, but they should buy it for him with his. They should buy it for him with his own resource, because I believe Harry didn't know he had a bunch of money in the bank, right? Because he was kind of too young for people to tell him that. So yeah, McGonagall bought it for him, but I believe she used Harry's money because Harry didn't know he had a small fortune yet. So she used her own money. Okay, so she used her own money to buy Harry the Nimbus 2000. Because he cut the snitch. But also keep in mind that Harry also was really rich. He just didn't know he was rich yet. And he found out he was rich. Yeah, when he graduated, right? When he graduated is when he found out he was rich. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And I'm going to look up on the McGonagall buying him that. Because I don't know. I feel like she used Harry's money to buy it for him, because she knew that Harry had a bunch of money, and Dumbledore knew that Harry had a bunch of money. The only person who really didn't know were the kids, including Harry, and Harry didn't find out till, I believe, till he graduated. I believe. I could be wrong about that, right? Okay. But Harry's wealth was a point to bring up, because remember, one of the Horcrux was actually in the vault, right? He only believes his vault was all of it. Yeah, exactly. So he knew he had a vault because obviously everyone did, but he didn't realize that in his vault was a crap ton of money, right? Okay. I've read the books multiple times, but I haven't read them in a bit of time. So we may have to go back and read the books to refresh. But again, like, I don't think we need to. I don't think you need to go back and read the books. In fact, I would say don't go back and read the books. Because the books are the books. The books will never change. They already existed. What matters now is going forward what Harry Potter is going to look and feel like. So I would say don't go back and read the books, because the TV series is going to cover all of that, because we're talking at least 8 episodes per season, right? Right?
Let's see who you
are. Okay. All right, we get the herbology. Are we gonna see Neville? Oh, that's not Neville, right? This is not Neville, right? Now we know who she is. Oh, dude, I like this casting for Hermione because her hair is you will spot that hair in a group of kids. That might be Neville. But Neville is kind of a big boy. We'll see. It might be Neville. The race. Who was he racing? Was there a race in the book like this? The stairs. Okay. Dumbledore. All right. So in the movies, Dumbledore was recasted because the main actor who played Dumbledore died, and it was recasted. And that one was too blurry to tell. And there is actually a giant controversy with that recasting, because in the 4th movie, the recasted actor played a particular scene so differently that some people think that he actually messed up that relationship with Harry. Because in the fourth book, Harry did not, Harry's name getting pulled out of the cup was a big shocker to everyone because you weren't supposed to be able to pull somebody's name who couldn't register. Literally couldn't register because they were too young. Harry magically couldn't register because he was just too young. So pulling his name out of the hat was a complete shock. This is the reason why Ronald Weasley stopped being friends with Harry for a moment, because that was so shocking that we're talking you weren't supposed to be able to, because remember, the Weasley adults tried it and the cup rejected their name. And we've got a kid who somehow got his name in. And the question is, Harry, what kind of magician are you that you can fool a magical cup that was set up by Dumbledore and the Ministry of Magic? What kind of sorcery is this? So remember, Ronald Weasley didn't speak to him because of that cup incident. So when the new actor approached Harry after Harry's name was pulled, go rewatch that scene and read the book. A lot of people think that scene was really messed up by that actor because he was extremely aggressive towards Harry. Again, there's a lot of controversy if we really want to get nitpicky. So this is what's this guy's name? John, is it Light something or Lex something? But dude, we're talking acting royalty. This dude, this dude can act. Dumbledore is in really good hands with this guy. I really do believe so. But yes, there was a major controversy with Dumbledore in the first movie series. That would be really fun if you want to go look at. Oh, he's holding the oh crap. Oh shoot. I know what this thing is in real life, but what was the scene where he had this thing? What was he using this for? Let's see if they'll tell us. In fact, I want to see what Snape is doing. Because if you didn't get here early, I clearly outlined that Snape is one of the most powerful wizards in all of wizardry. By the way, just in case people didn't realize that, because you didn't really know a lot about Snape to the sixth book, but Snape is one of the most powerful wizards in all of wizardry, not just current, all of wizardry. He's not fighting somebody. Oh, I think he's looking for Harry Potter. No, he's looking for Harry Potter. So remember, there was a few times where Snape would look for Harry Potter, especially when Harry got the cloak, right? The cloak of invisibility, and they kept using it to sneak around the castle. And then they had the map that would tell them, what was around. Okay, so I think that's what this is. This is Snape looking for Harry. Yeah, I think he's looking for Harry. And with also probably Ronald Weasley with them. I can't. What is this scene? Because I know this item is distinct for this scene. I just can't remember what the scene was.
Are you really Harry Potter?
Are you really Harry Potter? Okay, remember, his hair always has to be distinct because how do you cover up a lightning bolt on your head? Okay. This is new age, right? This is not early 2000s Harry Potter. This is 2026 Harry Potter. And I think this acting feels much more natural if Harry Potter did exist in 2026 as a book. So I'm not going to get nitpicky with this. Harry seems a bit awkwardly shy, but Harry was kind of awkwardly shy because remember, he was bullied his entire life. He didn't trust people because why would you? So meeting this too, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I meet you guys. It was a bit awkward, but he was also in a place where he felt safe and secure. And Harry and Hermione and Ronald Weasley were just two really interesting people. So they became pretty instant friends, although, yeah, well, wait. I want to see how the series does that because they did they were a little bit mean to Hermione initially, because again, Hermione had big teeth and really weird hair. Nice. Okay. Ronald Weasley is captured really well. Ronald Weasley, this is him. He is just a very happy-go-lucky, just a really cool kid who just. I mean, he had what, 6 siblings? So Ronald was around people all his life. Unlike Harry, who was always locked in the cupboard, right? So 2 distinct personalities that meshed really well because they bounced off of each other, right? In terms of combat, Snape doesn't really rank that high. If he did, he would have been able to fight. Okay, so here's what I'll say about that. In terms of physical combat, Snape didn't get into a lot of it. I think that's a distinction. It's not that Snape couldn't fight, it's just Snape didn't get into a lot of fights because, again, without Voldemort around, the wizards weren't just going around just zapping each other. It wasn't like there was a complete, never-ending wizard, mid-wizard, one comes out and we're fighting. There was hardly any fighting in Harry Potter. So, at the beginning of the video, go watch it. I'm going to stand by this. I think if Snape fought Voldemort, I do think Snape would have been able to hold his own. Now, Voldemort was formidable on 2 fronts. One, he was one of the strongest wizards in the world, and probably the strongest wizard in the world, outside of maybe Dumbledore, right? Also, because Voldemort dabbled in so much dark magic, there wasn't really any weakness that you could find in him. One, Voldemort didn't really age like other wizards, because remember, he did a bunch of like age reversing or age slowed down type of magic that just kind of made him more able to fight longer than, say, Dumbledore, who did not dabble in any of that. So when Dumbledore and Voldemort fought each other, they came to a standstill, but that's because if that fight would have kept on, Voldemort would have beaten Dumbledore really easily as the fight progressed, because again, Voldemort just had so much. It would be like imagine a video game character who just had a lot of boost. Voldemort was just juicing. He was doing the wizard equivalent of just taking drugs and steroids just to boost himself. So everything Voldemort was on hyperdrive because he just took so much supplements. And that was the main distinction, that other people did not take as much supplements as Voldemort did in terms of magical abilities. Supplements being using dark magic to boost himself. Okay. And then came the second issue, that even if you could kill him, it turns out this bastard split his soul into 7 different places. And so you would have to go find him. So again, that's why Snape would have never fought Voldemort, because you can't beat him till you destroy the Horcruxes. Once you destroy the Horcruxes, oh yeah, anyone can beat Voldemort at that point if they were strong enough, right? Okay. But yeah, as far as duels go, yeah, Snape wasn't in very many duels. But based on the lore and the fact that Snape created his own spells, there was an entire book named after him. And I think that book, the Half-Blood Prince, was meant to show you that, no, when it comes to raw power and output, Snape was one of the most formidable wizards of all time. And that's why Dumbledore really made sure to get Snape on his side. Because push come to shove, there was only a few people who could really protect Harry Potter from Voldemort, and it was Dumbledore, who was getting really old, and Snape was the other one. And of course, Professor McGonagall, who was also old. So really, the only person who was able to really protect Snape against Voldemort, if it really came down to, was going to be Snape. But again, that was the point, because even Voldemort knew that he didn't really want to fight Snape. Like, strong people don't really want to fight other strong people, because at the very least, Snape was going to be able to do some serious damage to Voldemort if they fought. At the very least, Snape would have had some trick up his sleeves, because again, that was the whole point of Snape. He always had something under his sleeves. You never knew what he was going to pull out. You never knew what he was going to be capable of doing, to the point where there was an entire book that he was doing magic spells in, and nobody knew who he was. So no, I don't think Voldemort wanted to fight Snape. And I think that's why Voldemort wanted Snape on his side. And that's the reason why Dumbledore was able to use Snape against Voldemort. Because, yeah, strong people want to be around other strong people. So, yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. I think if you're going just raw output, I think Snape would rank pretty high in the Wizarding world. And I think at the time of his time, I think it was Harry Potter, Voldemort, Dumbledore, and then Snape. That's not the only reason. Yes, that is the main reason. That's not even. That's okay. So I do know what you mean because he was in love with Lily, but that's not really the main reason. The main reason was actually because Dumbledore had spent all of his time preparing Snape, letting him know that Voldemort is going to come back. Because again, remember, that's the biggest thing with Harry Potter. Everyone thought Voldemort was gone and they were all celebrating. A handful of people, namely Dumbledore, was the only one saying, no, he's going to come back. And he used Snape. It was their entire relationship, his entire relationship with Snape, was getting Snape ready for when Voldemort came back. Right? So no, Lily Potter was not the only reason. Definitely not the only reason. Now, that's the reason why. You know what's so crazy about that? Here's what's so crazy about that. Yeah, we said that Snape hated Voldemort because of that, but I honestly think Snape blames James more for that than he did Voldemort. Honestly, because his thing was he would have been able to protect Lily Potter, Lily, whatever her maiden name is. Alan. Is it Alan? Yeah. Evans, Lily Evans. He would have been able to protect Lily, unlike James. And what it really was Snape hated James. He hated James. He thought James was just a pathetic, maybe not pathetic, but he absolutely hated James. And in fact, he blames James for the reason why Lily died, rather than blaming Voldemort, because Voldemort was just an evil guy. Everyone knew that Voldemort was going to go after Lily and James. And in fact, the reason why Snape was so mad is because he told them that that Voldemort was going after Harry Potter. Remember? He literally told Dumbledore he's going to go after Harry Potter. He's going to go after Lily and James. He's going after them tonight. Protect them. He's going after them. Yeah. Yeah, and Snape was a spy for Dumbledore before Voldemort died, based on what I just described, because he knew Voldemort was going to attack Lily and James, and he told Dumbledore he's going to attack them. So yeah, but I do see what you mean. He does hate Voldemort, but yeah, even the books never really made that the focal point of Snape's mind. I think he was way more pissed off at James over that than he was at Voldemort, to say. So I love that. Okay, again, what is this? This is called the Philosopher's Stone. Because remember, there's 2 titles for the first book. In England, and maybe other parts of the world, it's called the Philosopher's Stone. In America and this side of the West, it's called the Sorcerer's Stone. And the reason why is because the publishers told K.J. Rowling, if you call it Sorcerer's Stone, it'll sell better in America. And it did. Christmas, man, that's so good. He hated James and Sirius because of everything in school, because they bullied him a bunch. And that's why when Harry Potter started finding out more about his dad, there was a moment where he actually didn't like his dad. He was like, my dad was a bully. So that's why it was a big deal when Harry Potter, oh man, this is so good. Because remember that the Patronus spell that Harry did when he met Voldemort and their wands connected, and the past started coming out of it, right? And there was one thing Harry was always hoping would come out, and it did, which was his mother. But remember, when he saw his father, there was this moment of, everything I know about you so far isn't that good. You were just kind of a bully. And then he kind of started to find out that the way Snape felt about his mother felt way more genuine than the way James felt about his mother. Namely that Snape actually loved Lily, like loved. He just couldn't be with her because her family would never accept him, right? So there was that moment where he saw his dad and it was just like, I don't know, you're kind of a bully, you know? But then the story kind of made it known that, yeah, he was, but he was also just a kid, right? And a privileged one at that, because again, remember, James, the Potters were very wealthy. James was a very wealthy kid, like Malfoy, right? Yeah, it wasn't a Patronus. It was just their one connecting, right? Sorry, not a Patronus. Their one connecting. And when they one connected, the spirits of all the people that Voldemort killed started coming out of it. And the one person Harry was always waiting for was who? His mother. What else does that remind you of? Oh, my goodness. Naruto. Remember, there was that scene in Naruto where Naruto was met his parents. Remember that scene? Remember the first time he met his dad? And there was a moment of silence, and then Naruto just lost it. He was just like, what? How dare you did this to me? And then he met his mother. So, yes, the experimental cell, and then their wands connected, and that began the whole like, oh, our wands are connected, which then led to Voldemort having to go find a different wand, which he believed would be the what's the name of the wand? What was the magical power of the wand? It wasn't a one wand to rule them all. It wasn't that lame, right? What was the name of the wand? The cloak of invisibility, the resurrection stone, and the wand was it called the wand of power? I'm waiting for a response. It wasn't called the wand of. Was it called the wand of power? The one. You get the idea. The one, which obviously belonged to Harry. And why did it belong to Harry? Because Harry defeated Draco Malfoy. Okay, the show is gonna show you that. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're gonna sign off now. I've been talking for an hour. I think this is good enough. I think this is good enough. So one more time, let's watch it through. See if it spot anything else. But I think we pretty much got it all covered.
I told you. You are a normal boy. And you're going to start acting like one.
You can't help it.
You think you're something
He
special?
talks to snakes.
There is nothing special about you.
So towards the end of the books, they did start to have a more neutral outlook towards the Dudleys, because you kind of did start to understand the Death Stick. The Elder Wand. Yes, the Elder Wand. The Elder Wand. The Elder Wand. That's what it is. They started to have an understanding of the Dudleys in the sense that, yeah, you dropped a magical kid at their front steps. What do you think they were gonna do, dude? The kid was talking to snakes. Of course they were afraid of him. So you kind of started to understand that whole Harry Potter and Dumbledore thing, Dumbledore really put together such a terrible plan. It was such a terrible plan. But it was just like there wasn't a whole lot of other options for Dumbledore to go with. But dropping a kid at somebody's doorstep who has magical powers is probably not a good idea. It's just that there was nowhere else because Harry had to be away from the magical world. But I also meant that the real world, his aunts, were left with essentially a nuclear bomb at their house because Harry could do anything. He could just set the house on fire without even knowing that he was doing it, right? He was talking to snakes without knowing what was happening. So there was a reason why they treated him badly, even though treating him badly was a terrible thing, but it was a fear thing, right? It was a fear thing.
I've always wanted to know about my parents.
I mean, to make it even crazier, yeah, the book, even the TV show shows you. Remember, they had an aunt who visited, she was just yapping and yapping at Harry, and Harry just quietly lost it, and he blew up into a balloon and made a flight through the sky.
Your parents were the kindest, bravest people I ever met.
Yeah, and exactly, it wasn't Harry's favor because when the yes,
They were funny,
correct.
and clever. And they stood up for what they believed was right. The next time I see you, we'll be in Hogwarts.
That card has something written on it. Is that
The
Latin?
next time I see you, we'll be in Hogwarts.
Hertz are driving people off the trains? Oh, that's actually just a Hertz commercial. Like actual Hertz, like car rental Hertz. Okay. The owl, yep. Yeah, imagine being Harry watching this. He's got no one. No one. And he sees this. Because he doesn't know who he is. The coolest thing with Harry was going from being treated like weird because he was weird. He knew he was weird. He was talking to snakes. He knew he was weird. To then realizing, oh, I'm actually a pretty famous person. Yeah, everything here seems pretty on point. This is, yeah, the first graders, first years. Yeah, that's all the first meeting. That's all the first meeting.
I think we can expect great things from you.
Yeah, I think we got it all.
Let's see who you are.
This feels like Neville Longbottom. It does. This feels like that's supposed to be Neville Longbottom without even looking it up, because I feel like if you're gonna show a scene like this, who is this? That's is that name Preet? No, maybe not Preet. You prefer the fan fictions? Yeah, I haven't read any of them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Neville Longbottom. Yes, because didn't Neville? Yeah, no, it is because Neville's distinction was his bowl cut, right? I may be wrong about this, but I feel like it was. I do feel like his bowl cut was his distinction because his grandma cut his hair because obviously his parents were killed off by the Death Eaters and tortured horribly, and his grandmother cut his hair. So I do believe this was the distinction with him was his hair. So that should be Neville Longbottom. I don't know who he's racing, and I can't think of a scene where he's racing somebody. Oh, that might be Ronald. I think that's just Ronald Weasley. I think he's racing Ronald. I think that's Ronald Weasley. This is Hogsmeade. This should be Hogsmeade, right? Yeah.
Are you really Harry Potter?
Nice. Okay. We're gonna end there, man. Yes, Patel. Yeah, I think that's her. I think that's Patel. I think I'm because it kind of needs to show the main cast, all the important ones. That's got to be Neville Longbottom, and that's definitely got to be Patel because they have to show them because they're pretty important. I didn't see Brown, right? Brown. I don't remember her first name, but Lavender Brown. Is that a name? Lavender Brown. I didn't see. Yeah, Lavender Brown. Yes, Lavender Brown. I didn't see Lavender Brown, but the third female in the clip. Ooh, you mean like right here? Yeah, that's probably Lavender Brown, right? Anyone new here? And I can't tell who this is. Nothing clear there. Hermione. Can't say, that's too blurry. Okay, who is this?
I think we can expect
Who are these people?
great
Because they're going to be important, right? Who's a tall redhead in the game? In the game, in the books. I feel like these three are gonna be important, but maybe not. We'll see.
Things from you.
Okay, that's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching. The next time I come back to talk, I'm gonna talk more about Crimson Desert because there's still more to say about Crimson Desert. Okay. Anything here? Nope. All right, that's gonna be it. Thanks, y'all, for watching. As always, peace out.